I'll start with a quick review for this book, Why We're Polarized. I'll give this book a high 3. High 3, I just divide the 3 star into 2, so there's a high 3 and a low 3. And it's not a 4, I almost give it a 4, but I don't feel like it's a 4. One of the reasons is there's a lot of quotes in this book, and they were too long. Personally, I don't like quotes. I feel like the author job, their job is to rephrase or paraphrase whatever they found. Maybe if it's a very short quote, it's okay, but it's like more than like a few sentences, it's starting to get annoying for me. That's one of the reasons. Another reason is too much details in many of either stories, history, or just details about politics. Details that I don't think they were needed. Maybe for politics geeks, it's more fun, but for me personally, no. But I almost got a 4 because it has some good points in this book, good data, and I learned some things out of this. So that's why I would maybe recommend this book for whoever is interested in politics. Let's see the notes. Political parties are used as shortcuts for beliefs. Many people are ascribing to one party as a shortcut instead of weighing the options. They're just subscribing to one party, and the party is in some way making the decisions or for them. Negative partisan is voting against someone we dislike. This number is growing, which is negative partisan. So we don't like the person we don't like one person, we just dislike the other, therefore we vote for the other person. It's not that we like the person we're voting for, we really don't like the other person. Moderates are not less extreme. Extreme views can create moderate average. So they're not really extreme, or they're not less extreme. Moderates, sometimes you would think moderates means that they're in every subject or in every issue they're more moderate, which is not always true. Sometimes extreme views can create a moderate average. So in average, you have extreme right and extreme left on two different issues. The average is right in the middle, and more of that, and you have extreme views, but still you would call this person a moderate. Republicans prefer living in suburbs, while Democrats prefer living in walking distance or cities. Good and interesting data. More Republicans are living in the suburbs, and Democrats prefer living in big cities and in places that are walking distance for many things. Psychology between Republicans and Democrats is different. Liberals tend to be higher on openness. So there are some wording problems in this one. But liberals tend to be higher in openness, and that's one of the different in personality between Republicans and Democrats. Political parties are used as shortcuts for beliefs, since most people have no intention to weigh every issue. I wrote this one similar to the first one. It's a good point of this book, and he keeps reiterating this one. Most people do not want to weigh in on every issue, so it's kind of a shortcut. Like, they don't want to think, I'm just going with the Democrats, I'm just going with Republicans, whatever they say, I agree. Smart people tend to be dumber in politics, as they are more likely to rationalize their view. The smarter you are, in some way, the more dumber you are in regards of politics, and you're more likely to be trenched in your views and find good rationalization for your views. Side note, there are too many quotes, and some of them are way too long or a little long. That's what I said in that review part. Too many quotes, and some of them are very long, which is distracting a little bit. Politics are now divided more than ever around racial identity. So more whites would be Republicans, and more blacks and minorities tend to be more democratic. So it's more and more divided into racial groups. Most infants born in the US are non-white, which would mean that in the future, theoretically, there would be more Democrats. That's his point. The internet allowed specialized content which find its own population and, in turn, cause polarization. Since more people can access this data, there is more specialized content. So there is every niche. In every niche, there is someone that would be interested in it, and this specialized content find its own population, and afterwards what it also causes is polarization. The internet allows very small groups to form and exclude outsiders, so it's a similar idea. It allows small groups, either in Facebook or even in a news outlet, very small groups, and they tend to also be exclusionary for outsiders. Audiences are becoming more habituated for a specific kind of coverage, and they tend to dislike if there is a different kind of coverage. They're becoming more and more habituated for whatever content that they are used to get. And they're not looking for different data. So it's more likely for the providers or whoever creates, the creators of that information, to direct their content to that audience. Watching the other side news sources is not persuasive and could actually backfire. So for a liberal to watch Fox News and the other way around is not persuasive and can actually backfire and make it worse. I find it counterintuitive, but it's definitely interesting data. According to the author, the media often promote not news stories, so it's not necessarily important. The question is why it gets viral in the first place. Could it be the audience, not the media? Who is promoting who? So according to him, the media promotes stories that are not news. And my question is, who promotes it? Maybe the audience, so someone is reporting about it, and then there is a big audience for it, and then it reinforces the media to keep reporting about it. So what caused what? That's the question here. I'm not sure what, but I don't fully agree with his idea. The political environment pushes people to be more binary. They have to choose one or the other, and that's what that political environment is currently doing, dividing people right and left. Local governments has more influence on our lives, and that's a very good point he has in the book, that we are nationalized our politics, and it doesn't really help us because local news or local government has much more influence on our lives. National or nationalized politics don't have direct influence on us, and local government, local policies has much more influence on our day-to-day lives, and we should be more engaged in this type of policies. We nationalize our politics as we tend to consume more nationalized coverage. It's the same idea. We nationalize our politics, and that's what we consume all the time. I found it, one of the reasons is because it's more entertaining. There's nothing, there's more money into the New York Times, for example. They have more money, which means that their coverage would be better. And also the people who are higher up in government are more interesting in general because they're more accomplished. Therefore, it's more interesting for us to track it down or to be interested in because they're better, more eloquent in whatever way. They're smarter, and it's much more interesting than they're following local news, which is like in some way not as interesting or not interesting people. It's a side note. And we have the last one here. According to the author, most Republicans consume information through Fox News over more distributed among liberals. Could it be because there is less news sources? So according to he has data that Republicans tend to consume more information through Fox News primarily, and liberals tend to be more distributed. There is a lot. He has like a long list of websites or news sources that liberals consume their data. My question is, would it be one of the reasons? Of course, there is more than just Fox News in more conservative news sources, but there is less. There's definitely less news sources among the Republicans, and maybe that's the reasons people are more consolidating towards Fox News, and liberals tend to be more dispersed and distributed among more than one news source. Question, I'm not sure. That's it for the notes. Again, some interesting points he has in this book. I would recommend for whoever is interested in politics. And it's pretty well written too. I think there is some, like I said, there's a little bit too much details in some parts, but overall, I think it's pretty good. That's it. Thank you.